So I came in on a Monday morning, and of course I always take a little peek at the Turner Corn to see what's up. And surprise, the new engine's in, or the final engine's in. And the engine's in, the headers are in, and it's starting to look like it's going somewhere. So super excited to see that. We just got to keep plugging away at the little things until this thing starts up.
The actual S65 engine that's going to be in this car at the end of the project, the high horsepower, high revving V8 that we're all so excited and pumped up to actually hear and see and drive and everything else is in the car. So that's a huge moment, probably the biggest moment of the entire project.
So all the stuff that's coming together now is in preparation for getting the engine running and started. And once we button that up, then it's going to be like clockwork on the rest of the stuff.
This whole project with the plumbing has actually been a really big challenge. Nothing just bolts right up. None of the factory hoses or lines work. So everything has to be fabricated and everything has to be adapted in order to use the fittings that we wanted to use. Every little step of the way has been a project. Been working on mounting all of the engine accessories. The most difficult one is the AC compressor. I found a compressor that is actually a genuine BMW part. It's much smaller in diameter. It still actually didn't quite fit in available space. What I ended up doing was taking the air conditioner bracket. I put it on the mill, took about 6 millimeters off of the mounting bosses. Basically with that done, it actually fits really well and it's going to maintain our belt alignment. So this is the suction line, and then this is the line from the receiver dryer to the expansion valve. Where these run, they would be very close to the exhaust manifold. Made this stainless steel heat shield. Still kind of tweaking. We'll have that all heat shielded with reflective material. That'll hopefully keep some of the heat out of these AC lines so that the system continues to work efficiently.
Jay! 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 Hey! Have you seen Jay? Anybody seen Jay? Jay!
Originally, this is where the secondary air pump lived. This engine is not going to use the secondary air pump. What I did is I refashioned the mounts to hold the power steering reservoir. So this is a new power steering reservoir that we got that allows us to use AN fittings. It worked out pretty well that the size of this allows it to plug right in. Once I welded these tabs on here, it drops right on. I think gives a pretty good factory look. It's a good spot to utilize because we don't have a whole lot of extra room. Working on power steering hoses. We are making all of our own hoses here in-house with these crimped fittings. This right here is an inline power steering cooler. I decided to not use the factory power steering cooler because this is going to be a little more efficient.
You know, it would be easy and it would be quick just to throw some parts in there and to make it work and not worry about what it looks like. But again, the goal of this car is to make it look like BMW built it.
This is the oil pressure sender. Always want to mount these remotely. You don't want to directly plug the oil pressure sender into the engine because they can get damaged by vibration. I made a little bracket here that allows us to use an insulated clamp. We made a -3 stainless line that runs from the pressure sender to the original pressure fitting on the oil filter housing here. Pretty simple little thing, but it's all really high quality. We make this line here in-house on our crimping machine.
You know, thank goodness we have a lot of resources here at the Turner service facility because we can do things here that other shops might have had to send out. You know, we can machine brackets, we can weld stuff, we can bend stuff. And so there's physical stuff that we can do here to make Brew's life a little easier, making all this stuff. But there's also the knowledge base. Between all the guys here at Turner, I mean, we have 30 years of working with BMWs to know what parts we can use.
I've started mocking up the intake. I'm not going to be able to get too far with this because we need to get the actual hood installed on the car. I was able to fit the intake pipe and the filter. Pretty happy with how it all fits. I was nervous that we might run into issues with clearance between this pipe, the upper radiator hose, and the electric fan. It's actually working out really well. Right now I have it mocked up. Once we get the real hood on there, we'll build the actual air box. That'll allow us to actually run the engine and even do dyno tuning with it.
You know, I have Brew on the race team for a bunch of reasons, but one of the main reasons is because of his attention to detail and preparation. So if there's anything that can move a race team forward to win, it's preparation and thoroughness and attention to detail. So he's been awesome over on the race team, but then again, I want him to do the same thing over here. So I've kind of been pulling him both ways. And you can see by his pit stop practice, he's not getting any faster in the pit stops. So he's got a little work to do. Don't tell him that.
We did some work to the radiator here because we had very little clearance between the lower radiator hose and the AC compressor. What I did was cut this radiator neck off, and we shortened it by about 8 millimeters. Lucas TIG welded that back on. That works really well, gives us plenty of clearance, and we're good to go there. I added this bleed port on the upper radiator outlet. We basically cut it so that it fits the profile of this tube, and then it's been TIG welded on here. We've got upper and lower radiator hoses, plenty of clearance between the hoses and belts and the fan and all that stuff. We've got 2 bleeders, one factory from the top of the thermostat housing, the second one from this new barb fitting on the top of the radiator. We made these both in-house. They're just aluminum tubing with a black heat shrink on them. The plumbing is coming along pretty well. The power steering is basically complete. The radiator cooling system is complete. AC is getting there. I have a couple fittings to weld on. I'm waiting on one more fitting. The heater is another huge challenge, but I've got a plan for it. Making really good progress, and I think we're gonna be wrapped up with all the plumbing stuff probably within the next few weeks.
One of the things I was a little concerned about is, do we have all the other parts that should have been sitting here so that when the engine's buttoned up, we can just move on? Like, is the suspension all set? Is the exhaust all set? Is the interior all set? Is the radio working? The gauge is gonna work. Like, I wanna make sure that once we start the engine, that we're not waiting around for other stuff.
After the plumbing, we should be able to pull the motor and start sending parts out to be coated. So we're gonna have the headers ceramic coated. I'm gonna pull the wiring harness off the engine again because we need to install some knock sensor brackets on the engine. Once the headers come back from ceramic coating, the motor will go back in, and hopefully for the final time, and we should be able to fire this thing up.
It's really starting to look like the car that we've all been waiting for and dreaming about. Everything's coming together really, really well.